No.
The other one,
Preparing,
Education International.
it's preparing to
pop it
live
up
stream
for you.
now.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Greetings, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone tonight that is with us live virtually by Zoom.
Hold on.
Yep, it's live.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone here with us this evening to our virtual Zoom meeting, who is with us via Zoom, but also via our live YouTube channel. So we're really excited to have you all with us tonight. Before our formal opening, I would like to announce that we have received dispensation from our most puissant General Grand Master, who is with us on the meeting tonight at dispensation to open with 5 companions, and I believe we have 6 that are members. But anyways, based on his dispensation and barring any further ceremony, since we are meeting virtually, I hereby, as illustrious master, declare George C. Sellers International Preservation Council number 1800 formally opened. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone for being here. And companion recorder, would you mind calling the roll of our members who are with us, as well as our guests who are joining us tonight, please?
Illustrious Master Jack Harper. We have our principal conductor of the work, Richard, I believe that was the case, Richard Epler. We have Jonathan Horvath. We have Prince Selvaraj. We have Stephen Balke, and yes, the General Grand Recorder has received his check and his paperwork. And we have also a member and the most puissant General Grand Master, David Grindle. Are there any members present that I have not named? Okay. Visitors present include John R. Miller, Grand Recorder out of Florida, James McNeely, Deputy Grand Master of Connecticut, G. Thomas Taylor, past most illustrious Grand Master of Delaware, and unopposed candidate for General Grand Principal Conductor of the Work, the current Principal Conductor of the Work, Right Puissant Companion William Snyder, and the current Deputy General Grand Master, Right Puissant Monty Glover.
Thank you very much, and we have you. So Steve Balke. So we're glad to have all of you all with us tonight. At this time, Steve, you did send out the minutes from our previous called assembly, and I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes as they were presented in the email.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Lester Scrandy and I will second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and second on the floor to approve the minutes as presented in the email from our previous called assembly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all who will favor the motion will remain silent. Any who will oppose the motion will verbally say nay. Motion carries, companion recorder. The minutes are approved. Next, would you like to, because you are a combined position of recorder and treasurer, would you like to present a brief treasurer's report? And Steve, I'm basically thinking kind of a summary of what we discussed at the last meeting, just kind of the overall numbers and what our balance is.
I can look it up. I believe, yes, our Preservation Council number 1880 has $900 currently, which is stewarded by the General Grand Council of Cryptic Masons International. We have been remiss in our reporting and we present an interesting opportunity, but we will owe General Grand Council, we do owe them a little bit for the 1 year off per capita over the last 8 years. So I will be reconciling that and getting that taken care of with the permission of the council.
I will entertain a motion to allow the recorder to pay the council's per capita to General Grand Council. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Seems to be my role.
We have a motion and second on the floor to pay the General Grand Council our per capita. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all who will favor the motion will vote aye by remaining silent. And all who would oppose the motion would vote by verbally saying nay. All right, motion carries to do that. Companions, also in my interest to in haste to get started and to enjoy all of the business we have tonight, I have been reminded that we should have an opening prayer, and I believe that I would love to have James McNeely give that prayer for us, please.
Supreme Architect of heaven and earth, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as companions. May our work be pleasing in thine eyes. May you bless the proceedings of the evening, and may you watch over every companion that is with us tonight, as well as all of our companions who are unable to be here. May your glory be transmitted through us throughout the world. This we pray. Amen.
All right, so Mo to be, thank you very much. My apologies for leaving that out. At this time, petitions. It sounds like we might possibly have a petition at a minimum to be accepted and voted on. I think we'll take it, but Steve, is that the only one we have, or do we have others?
That's the only one we have.
Okay, so companions, one of the things that you approved was just in the minutes, and we're going to get to it in new business. So it's not in effect yet, but in the proposed bylaws, which we will be voting on in a couple of minutes here. One of the things that we did was we, created a board of trustees for the council, and that's where the petitions would go, and they would be approved by those three companions, so that the potential affiliated members would not have to lay over for such a long period of time. However, since our bylaws are not in effect yet, I'm very positive from speaking with our recorder that what we've previously done is any paperwork that we've received, it's been vetted. All the life per capita has been paid. All the certificate of good standing, all the paperwork is in due form, and it's been automatically accepted. And so with that being the protocols in place, I would recommend that even though he is already basically a de facto / ex officio member, because as the General Grand Recorder, he, by the bylaws, which are incorporated with our charter, say that he would automatically be the recorder treasurer for this particular council. However, he has submitted his paperwork, and his monies have been paid. And I would accept just even though we've just handled it administratively, I would love to accept a motion to approve Steve Balke to full membership in the George C. Sellers International Preservation Council.
Putting to work. I so move.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, a second to formally accept Steve Balke as a full member of the council. No need to have any discussion. I would not allow it if there was. And so anyways, all who will favor the motion will remain silent. All who will oppose the motion will verbalize the word nay. Hearing none, congratulations, Companion Balke. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. All right, old business. Let's go ahead and get into what's led us to this point is really been looking for a way to get the council more active, involved, and engaged to assist the General Grand Council in potentially multiple functions. And what I'm really thinking about is these items will come up in new business, but as old business, I'm just presenting them for what our discussion was a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the need to elect interim officers. We talked about the need to revise the bylaws, and we talked about the need to really look at our basically our purpose, our raison d'etre, and see what we could do to make ourselves a little bit more viable, but also helpful to the trustees of the General Grand Council, where we could accomplish multiple goals. And so that discussion came up, and then it went even more broadly, and we had a long discussion about education and being the repository for an educational component, and then even assisting with the General Grand Council going forward on, maybe taking the money from our council to help purchase, the regalia for either the incoming most puissant General Grand Master, or if he needed a new set of regalia going out. So we had talked about doing it though for coming in, which might be like apron case, jewel. So that was kind of talked about. Anyways, again, keeping up the old business discussion, and this is really to try to bring Jonathan up a little bit now, because we're getting close to his time and we're getting close to new business. But as we were doing the bylaws to get them ready for tonight, one of the things basically came up with is we may be trying to do potentially too much too soon with these bylaws, and perhaps what we should do is just put in there what we need to do, and then spend the time during this triennium to be able to figure out what all we wanted to bring under the council, i.e. education or anything else, and also to be able to do basically other duties as assigned by the General Grand Master. So that really is the discussion of old business, which leads us to now get down to the brass tacks. So before I move on, I'm not aware of any other old business. I just tried to summarize what we just did previously. So Grandmaster
Jack,
or anyone else, am I leaving anything out from old business before we start to look at new?
well, Jack, we had talked about trying to maybe include Jonathan's component of a research organization. Since his research council in Illinois is kind of defunct. Is that true, Jonathan?
It is, right? About 9 years ago or so, I left Illinois,
Right.
moved here to Pennsylvania, and the council was active for a couple of years after I moved here, to its credit. But, once that sort of initial, 3-year period of activity, it just kind of, drifted away without me there to keep it going, and without, the bodies there. So you know, the concept is there and it can be used in any way anyone wants it.
Well,
Yeah,
and you
and-
and I had talked about trying to get it involved with General Grand now, so
Right.
that we had a research component. We don't have one right now,
Okay.
so. And if we
No,
could
and-
put that in this council, it would work well, I think.
Right, and thank you, Grandmaster. And that was my apologies. I thought I had referenced it. We had talked about that, and I probably was just thinking it when I was talking about Jonathan being on the call. So,
Right.
Okay,
Yes,
I read
so-
the minutes.
yep. So my apologies. So yes, Sue. That does now get us down to new business, and so let's get into it. And we have the various things that I see that we need to do. And of course, election and installation, I'm leaving for last. But what we need to discuss are these items, and I'll take them in whatever order the companions would like to discuss them. But that's the Rabboni component, the bylaws component, the research council component, as well as the purchasing an item or regalia for the General Grand Master. And I'd also like to talk about dues, as in annual dues, with a component of the annual dues going to CMMRF as well, which are, we did put some placeholders into the bylaw. So all of these will be components of the bylaws. So why don't we go ahead and, let's talk about, you did just talk about the Research Council. So let's talk about that. We heard a brief discussion right there by both the Grand Master and Jonathan. Does anyone else have any other thoughts? What would we like to do there?
Streets Master. My thoughts are that if we do the discussion on the bylaws first, and some of the questions are answered, such as, is membership going to open up as of the adoption of these bylaws to any cryptic Mason, that will have I believe it will have a relevant impact on all of the other discussions.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Let's start there then. So let's entertain that discussion.
Well, we kind of need a motion to put the bylaws on the floor, so I move we adopt the bylaws.
Second.
Friends, we have a motion
have
and a
one-
second to put the bylaws on the floor for discussion. I will
Steve,
now.
I gave Steve one correction, and that was the name of the council. And there is one other correction. He's got General Grand Council, comma, Cryptic Masons International. And that comma should be an of. So it's General Grand Council of Cryptic Masons, comma, International. Otherwise, I thought the bylaws were well constructed, so.
So any other discussion or things to look at changing or adding to or subtracting from? If not, then with the changes just presented, Companion Balky, do you have those written down? I know we'd received the one about the name. Are you good then if with the corrections?
We're amending it to reflect George R. Sellers and correct the
George C. Sellers.
and correct the reference to General Grand Council. And I believe that there is no, and I do have one question that I would like to make sure of, Bill. In this redraft, we opened this up, correct? To membership?
if we're going to put the research council in there, yes, we have to.
Well, I'm just asking if this bylaws has any limitation for membership to anybody. It says membership acquired by this council by applying for affiliation for a petition, sending it to the general grand recorder, and being selected for membership as provided in Article 10. Maintain good standing in this council. A member must maintain good standing in his primary council and be a general grand council life member with respect to this council. All of that's great, but I just wanted to, because Bill's more familiar with it, I wanted to ensure that the question was asked, is there a limitation that stops anybody from becoming a member that is a Mason in
There
good standing?
was, I thought it was still in there that there was a limitation to being a member of a non-member council, and I thought I saw it in there still.
Illustrious Master, I would move that that it be amended to open this to any cryptic Mason from a recognized council or jurisdiction in good standing.
Do we have a, I'm gonna, just so y'all know, I'm gonna do this all as an omnibus amendment. So right now, when I say, do I have a second, that's more of a straw poll to make sure each of you all are good with that. I'm certainly fine with it. Is everyone else good with that addition? I take
I'm
that
fine
as a
with it.
yes. And Steve, what we'll do is, and I'll probably help, phrase, or, if, when we do the motion for Companion Vaughn from Idaho, we may just, and the bylaws when they're written out, we'll probably just give the various ways that a companion can become a member. It just may be, kind of not bullet pointed out, but, like an ABC or, small 1, 2, 3 type, breakout options where, they can become a member by any one of these ways. So is everyone good then? Then if they are, I'm going to ask if we have a motion and a second to amend the initial motion, which was already moved and seconded. So I'm going to ask now for a formal motion and second to amend the bylaws to correct the name, to remove the comma for General Grand Council, and to include the language that Companion Balke just made about the additional means for membership within the council. Those were the 3 items that I've heard that need to be amended. So is someone, did I leave anything out? All right, then if not, I will ask for a motion and a second to amend the initial motion.
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved. Or
We
I'll
have-
second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor to amend the initial motion by correcting the Scrivener's error of the name of the council, as well as to removing the word of and having General Grand Council, and to putting in the joining language that basically opens up membership to about any select master. So that is how it is. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all who will favor the amendment will vote in the affirmative by remaining silent. All who will oppose the motion will vote by verbally saying nay. The amended motion carries, Companion Recorder. I will now accept a motion to approve the bylaws as amended.
Illustrious Master, that motion is actually active, and with the amendment passed, the original motion has been amended to include the omnibus motion and is ready for any final discussion or a vote.
All right, is there any final discussion? Hearing none, all who will favor it will vote by, in the affirmative by remaining silent. And all who are opposed will vote by verbalizing the word nay. Congratulations, companions. The motion carries to adopt the bylaws. Would we now like to, Steve, and again, I'm looking at the time. I know we've got about 10 minutes for Jonathan. Would we like to now have further discussion on the on the Research Council?
Illustrious Master, I like the idea of a research council. Other than that, yes, sir.
Jonathan, is there anything, Companion Horvath, anything more that you would like to add or think or say? Would you be able, I would presume that you've kind of been the repository for all the material, and you would be able to, once coming under our umbrella, you'd be able to provide our recorder with all of the appropriate literature materials, etc.
I believe so. The only reason I say I believe so, right, is I can go back through my records. I've got them stored on a OneDrive somewhere, and I can pull things up in terms of old articles that were written and things like that. In terms of anything specifically related to the council that I started, I don't know if we're talking about trying to like bring that over or just bring the concept itself into this council and leave all that other stuff behind. I know there is still the recorder and treasurer back in Illinois. It was Russ Schlosser and Drew Makita who were involved with that probably still may have a list of, who the members were or whatever. But like I said, all that's defunct.
Yeah, I'm mainly looking for the material.
Okay.
That's what would be of interest to me. So more of the writings, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I can work on pulling those up here in the next few days or a couple weeks or whatever. Everything I've got, I'll get an email address from you and I'll deposit them somewhere or email them to you.
Right.
Pardon me for interrupting, but are there any encumbrances on any of those articles or
No.
education material?
Yeah, nothing was ever copyrighted by anybody or anything, and it's all, for lack of a better word, public domain.
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
I just don't want to get into any issues with the Grand Council of Illinois.
Okay.
Right, Pleasant, Deputy General Grand Master and Companion Jonathan. I think that we should get an email statement from anyone who submitted an article before we do any publishing. There is an inherent copyright, and Bill, Right Pleasant Companion Bill, please correct me if I'm going awry, but an implicit copyright exists whenever they submit something to someone.
You are correct that there is that implication. It may not stand up always, but there is that implication. So I think with Jonathan's assurance, he could turn this material over. Then you as an organization could review it and then take appropriate action with Jonathan's assistance and probably the assistance of the Grand Recorder of Illinois. Contact those writers and let them know that there's an opportunity to be republished or for them to update their article. And if they've died, well, we probably just take a chance and say it's in the public domain and print it with due honor given to any author.
Okay.
That way we pretty much, since we're not doing it for profit at this point, we certainly could just print something as being in the public domain. Then if some family member says, hey, wait, that's my uncle's article, you've got the wrong name on it. Well, then we can fix it. We've made the effort. So I think Jeremy would say the same thing. So
that's fine. Let me go see what I can figure out. I still have lots of friends back in Illinois. So
yeah, I think the other thing that I would love to have available to this group and then to general grand jurisprudence would be whatever charter or constitution, bylaws, whatever you had that Illinois Grand Council had basically given its blessing to, that would be instructive, because I know that Ohio had a research council. Bobby Campbell has mentioned that. I don't think that was Lodge of Research. I think that was a council of research that is also kind
It
of.
was a council, Bill.
Yeah, and it's gone by the wayside. They're wanting to restart it. If we could take what Illinois has done, then we can probably help get this going, not only nationally, internationally, but also state by state, if there's interest.
Sounds good.
Thank you,
Look
sir.
forward to it, right? It's one
And-
of the first things we came here to do, to learn. So let's go learn.
Yeah, and Steve, the Grand Recorder of Illinois has changed. It's not Mark Welch anymore. It's Michael L. McDorman, and he lives in Galesburg, Illinois, the home of Knox College, Knox University.
There you go.
Do you happen to have contact information on him, or should I just follow up?
I've got it right here. What do you need?
If you could pop his email address and telephone number into chat, I can get the rest.
They don't have his telephone number on here, but they do have his email address.
Fantastic.
Illustrious Master, if I may, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So this is maybe a reference point, just a piece of information. So the Grand Council of Minnesota is actually in the process of chartering a brand new council that is going to live with all but one meeting a year via Zoom, with the express purpose of being an educational and research council, but to help serve underutilized or underserved areas within Minnesota, and hopefully drawing companions, not only current companions, but possibly encourage companions to be active and bring in new companions. So that's a concept that at least Minnesota is getting ready to work on.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's exciting. There's a lot of new and exciting things going on right now. The pandemic has certainly been hard on everyone, but by the same token, it's forced everyone to maybe advance a little bit sooner than they thought as far as technology is concerned. So, Companion Jonathan, we thank you for everything. And again, as long as you can stay on the meeting, we'd love to have you. But I do want to be cognizant of your time, and I feel like we've just made it under the gun. I think you said you were good till 45 after the hour.
Yeah,
So,
I've probably got another 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll book.
Okay.
I'll bow out gracefully at the time and not interrupt. Thank you. For
all right.
everything.
Well, thank you. We're glad you're here. So, Companion Balky, let's have the conversation about the Rabboni.
Illustrious Master, I'd like to follow up with a comment real quick first on that previous conversation. In New Mexico, like you, I was the worshipful master of the Lodge of Research of New Mexico, and there's an interesting concept that's ingrained within the Grand Lodge bylaws in the chartering of the Lodge of Research, where you can establish clubs. Now, I'm not saying let's establish clubs, but maybe, and this might be tie into the Rabboni conversation as well, because it has nice fitting options, but maybe we, I know some guys who just put together a set of landmarks for cryptic masonry. Maybe one of our goals might be to set some landmarks for research councils and start developing not a governing body, but a facilitation body where we recognize, promote, and enable any jurisdiction who wants to put together a research council and become kind of a central point of activity, drive, etc. We have some, aside from Rabboni, which is an interesting opportunity in itself, but also Right Pleasant Companion James has brought up before, actually a few days ago, Google Classroom and classroom opportunities. We have just launched a YouTube channel, which we're now streaming live on, which is another venue where we can promote on an international basis. And we do have one, you know, when we look at this, the difference is I sent out 3 emails and we went from 4 to, I think we're up over 220 subscribers in a day, first day out of the gate. And we hit a litmus test that is 100 in order to have a custom URL. That's kind of an example of what we can do in promoting, and we don't want to interfere. That's not what I'm trying to. I'm trying to make real clear that that's not what I'm suggesting. We're not looking to govern, but we've got some facilitation tools, and not the least of which is Will Highsmith puts out a little email newsletter that is growing. So yeah, and to your question, Rabboni.org was an idea established for an online learning management system for cryptic masonry and all of the Masonic family in order to spread light and over across many topics, from leadership to a tiled area. Right Pleasant Companion Carl Jackson did a lot of groundwork in order to amass resources, which it was left hanging, but we had the Missouri research, which we might have a guy that might be able to talk to some folks and get us some of their, and it's not bringing it in, it's bringing in access. Again, we're providing conduits and access. And that's exactly where Carl and I were looking at moving. And then again, one level above that is actually developing an online learning platform where people go through courses which are developed into curricula, which cover leadership, Masonic education, esoterica, etc. Did I hit what you wanted me to hit?
You did, and of course, you and I have had many conversations over the years talking about education and online learning management tools as well. And I guess kind of what I'm thinking is, and I just put this out here for the companions, but you know, I see this as a very important component, and that's education. And you know, I don't know that we'll be able to solve it all tonight, and it's not like I want to throw it to a committee to end it, but I actually would, now that we're meeting actively, I would actually really like to have a committee so that we could get to work on this and begin bringing ideas back. You know, we will be meeting before, you know, we're not going to wait 3 years again to meet. You know, we're going to be having our required meetings, and so I'd really like us to look into that and be considerate of that, as well as how does, you know, the role of education fit in with the next triennium as well. You know, what can we do to assist there? So what are you all's thoughts? See, I tried to not say y'all. What are you all's thoughts on setting up basically an education committee to come back with recommendations to be voted on by the council?
I think it's a great idea. I posted in the chat window, right? So the no pun intended, general idea of general bodies, right? So the grand bodies is to help make more Masons, make more companions. So there are things that we can do as a body to help make more education, create more education, make more companions, more anything, right? It's everything that we can do to help others in this particular area is something we should look at or consider.
That's great. So could I get, you know, 3 potential companions that would be willing to serve on that? And I would I would add that I would like the General Grand Council officers to basically sit in as ex officio of that committee, because whatever we do, I want to make sure that they are in agreement and buy off on it, and that we're helping to fill a niche for them as well. So that's something that's really important to me as well, if you all are okay with that.
See you,
So
Jonathan.
sounds good. So Jonathan volunteered. Couple of others.
You know,
I
Jack,
have no,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was
gonna say,
going
I'll-
to say, I have no, I'm sorry, go ahead, Illustrious.
I was going to say I don't mind helping out on that.
And I have no
uh,
issues with our ex officio participation as well. I would put in a request for you to consider at the midterm Zoom meeting of the triennium, the triennial meeting that we'll have via Zoom at midterm, would be an opportunity for you to do a educational presentation.
Perfect. That would be wonderful.
And I have let people know that need not be present to win. So we have a certain South Carolina companion who I would offer up to this committee.
Sure. That sounds good. And let me ask you this, to Companion Balky, obviously you'd help as ex officio. What are your thoughts on a certain past Grand Master who loves education as well from New Mexico?
I'm not
Are we
going to speak.
talking about
for him.
Adam?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that I'm seeing, the General Grand Officers are arguably interested and involved in everybody else we've talked about as a member. So if he became a member, Illustrious Master, then I think that would be a viable option.
Well, I mean, if we got you to become a member, then yeah. So yeah, we'll just we'll see if he gets added to the committee later. So I'll entertain a motion to create an educational committee of the council to consist of companions Horvath, Harper, another, I don't know how you want to say his name, Steve, but another Mason from another state.
Well, I just put John Robert Boker.
Okay. So you just put his name live. Okay.
I did.
And ex officio of Balky, Glover, Snyder. And I want to make sure, Right, Professor Taylor, you be good with that as well too. You're fine.
Sorry, I had my volume down and you're going to have to repeat.
Well,
He was talking to Tom Taylor, not you, Bill.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
knew you accepted already.
Tom's a new guy. He'll do whatever I damn well tell him.
Okay. So I will accept a motion with those names with the further caveat. And Steve, this is how I would cover Adam or anyone else. And maybe like a James McNeely, if he's not too busy doing IT stuff, and any other companion that the illustrious master might select during the recess of the assembly. How about that for a massive motion? That's something like, somebody from Missouri would write. That was a good short one. So do I have a motion and second for that?
Okay, I'll move it. I can't do both.
Got you sleeping there, David.
Oh, no, I wasn't sleeping. Second,
Perfect. So we have a motion, a second on the floor to create the education committee of the names just mentioned. I think we've had good discussion, but is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all who will favor the motion will vote by remaining silent. All who oppose the motion will vote by verbalizing the word nay. Motion carries. Companion recorder. I'm just talking out loud, but as far as dues, they were in the bylaws. So when do we want to start those? They're in there as $25 with $5 to go to CMMRF. Everybody's talking at once. I can't hear everybody. You're talking over each other. Companion Balky, do you have thoughts on the matter?
Oh yeah, I was rambling on. I was just muted.
I was gonna say bump it up to 200 and you'll hear them talking.
Dues notices advising companions the dues amount of the coming year to be sent in November by the recorder until otherwise set by the council. The amount of the annual dues shall be set to $25. $5 of which is to CMMRF.
Yes.
Well, we passed it, and I don't have any issue with that. And until we get the only thing I'll say about it is we might want to increase it, but we want to increase it for purpose. We don't want to increase it for just the case of increasing it. So
Right.
I would say, Monty said do a presentation on the education aspect at we'll call it a year. I would say that maybe we have a plan by that time in order to go forward.
Yeah, and I'm good with all that. And what I was actually wondering though is when do we want to do the dues notice, because it's now been formally enacted, or do we just want to not do anything and wait till after the mid-triennium? That's what I'm saying, because now it's official and we've never done that before. So I'm asking, do we want to send out dues notice? Do we want to send out the dues notices for those monies that have just been voted in, or do we want to wait on that? And if we do want to send them out, when? That's what I was asking.
The only thing that I might suggest is that we might get some push. Go ahead. Sorry, Bill.
I'm coming in from the outside on it, but probably you should send out a dues notice along with a copy of the new bylaws that were approved, and send that out sometime like what, November, December, and I don't know, give them until Masonic Week to pay.
Right, question, Companion Bill, this is subordinate counsel.
Oh, it's by December when?
And I do believe that I'm going to owe some reports to a certain guy in Florida. So.
Funny event, but I do think you could send out the bylaws to the members electronically at least, and we could put up a link on the website where anybody that doesn't get the email can check, and people might be interested in seeing if they want to become a member. We could have an application there. But yeah, I would say send out the dues notice to your current membership and see who wants to remain active, but I think it probably should include a nice brief letter, a concise letter from Jack or whoever is the illustrious master of this subordinate council, telling them about a little bit about what we've done and what we are hoping to do. Talk a little bit about the education committee and encourage people to volunteer.
And that's what I'd like to do, Bill. And I don't know, Monty, how much bandwidth you already have taken up in the emails that go out. But I was thinking that letter would go really well as one of the articles in the emails as well. So then, you there it is, an email, you click on it and it goes back to the website as well. So I was thinking that would be a good forum for that as well, to reach a broader, as broad of an audience as possible.
You're talking about sending it out like via MailChimp?
Yeah, but as you know, like right now when the decryption goes out, it's got the 4 or 5 articles and it's got like the
Right.
first paragraph on it, and then you click and it takes you back to the website to read the whole thing. I was just talking about it being like one of the articles in there.
It could be that
Yeah,
also.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that as long as it doesn't have any adverse effect on the MailChimp account. I do have one question, and as a guest, I apologize, but if you're going to start taking in dues, would it not be wise to consider, at least sometime in the near future, actually separating the recorder and the treasurer's position, so that you have an actual treasurer and you don't have to run into crazy situations, and it would offload some of the duties that Steve is going to be tasked with keeping track of.
No, and I think that's a great. I think that's a great idea, and something that we could take a look at. At the next meeting, we could get the bylaws, and we could get them drafted up to revise at the next meeting. And I guess I would say to keep it, if this is what we choose to do, but to keep it in sync with the recorder, it could be whomever the general grand treasurer is.
Right on, Jack. I agree with you. That's what I was going to propose.
Does that require a change to our constitution or bylaws?
It
No,
would require a change to the bylaws, which
No,
There's
I'm
none that
talking
says-
about
of
general
this
grant.
council, no,
Yeah, but
you
I'm-
wouldn't require any, no. Should require a change to our bylaws for general grant.
but that could be something that we could have Jeremy or whomever your jurisprudence chair is just double check on that, and get it in writing, and we could do it at our next meeting. And
Since the
but
funds are
also,
innocent-
if you're confident with it not, if you're confident that it does not impact the constitution of the General Grand Council, I mean, there's none that says we don't. Well, I was going to say I'm in the bylaws now, but that was not in there to be, considered. So it wasn't. I mean, people might not have seen it, so I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that.
Yeah, my just having been a recorder, you're already handling money as it comes in and being responsible for accounting for it, as far as deposits and all that, writing the checks and all that. I personally would have felt more comfortable not having both those duties.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I have been both, recorder and treasurer, and I'm prepared to do it now if we feel that would be legal and appropriate. I'm just kind of thinking about, we didn't have it, we did not have that specifically elucidated in the proposed bylaws that we sent out, and we did talk about other things we might change. So, but if you all are good with doing it now while we're while we're working on the bylaws, I'm fine with doing that now if you all are comfortable with that.
Okay,
Uh,
Jack, part of the reason we didn't do it before was because there wasn't any dues collected. Now you're going to collect dues. So that puts an extra burden on. So, and I'll make the motion that we amend the bylaws to make the treasurer a separate office and that the general grand treasurer become the treasurer since the money is in the general grand. There's no sense to separate it out, really.
Yep. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Don't let it die.
Dick?
Okay, I believe in it because every time I've been secretary or recorder treasurer, I have within 1 year separated it. So I will maintain my history and second that motion.
Oh, perfect. Okay, companions, we have a motion second on the floor to amend the bylaws by separating the stations of recorder / treasurer to become 2 stations, whereby the treasurer now becomes its own standalone station, and that position in this council be filled by the General Grand Council treasurer. Is there any further discussion? All who will favor the motion will vote by remaining silent. All opposed will verbalize the word nay. Motion carries. And I like that change.
Yeah, Jax,
That's a
I'll,
good change.
I'll take a shot at redrafting it, revising it, and get it out to you guys next week.
Okay, thank you.
and-
Yeah, I
and
think that's a
we can
great
have
change.
Jeremy look at it, but I think at this point, I can take what he's already got. If I can get that in Word, which I may already have, I can just redraft that and basically copy what we put as recorder and then do that for treasurer. Just
Perfect.
basically giving the duties for the treasurer.
Perfect.
Bill, it's broken up into 2 sections under Article 13 for treasurer recorders. You should just have to be able to split them up into
Yeah,
2 different
That's what I'm
bodies.
thinking. I think it's going to be a simple fix.
Yeah, yeah. You get an Article 13 for treasurer and an Article 14 for recorder, and then renumber the articles from there down.
Got it.
And I agree with separating it because I worked off and on for 16 years in Idaho trying to get the treasurer separated from the grand treasurer separated from the grand recorder, and now it is. So it all works with transparency.
General Grand Master, I apologize, illustrious master. Just for a point of clarification, your dispensation for quorum was for how many?
5.
5.
Do you have an issue?
Yeah, we do.
Why?
Because we don't have 5, we have 4.
Oh, shoot. Who'd we lose?
Both Prince.
None of
and
your visitors.
Jonathan.
Prince and Jonathan.
Prince and Jonathan.
I will take
Oh,
a
wait a
verbal
minute, James.
petition from all of you.
Yeah,
James, aren't you a member?
no, I'm not.
I thought you were.
No, because the old rule was with me being a Minnesota companion, I didn't.
Yeah.
I believed I was not eligible for.
But we've
Yeah, but
just
you were a
amended
Canadian.
our bylaws.
We have,
But you were a Connecticut companion.
correct.
You know,
That's where you were past most puissant.
No, that's where I'm currently deputy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my desire to join George Sellers is definitely there.
Okay.
And
Even if he had the money right now, though, you couldn't act on it.
Well, I would
That's
point out
true.
to the illustrious master that nobody that's a
We
voting,
had a quorum when we
Correct.
opened.
no one who is a voting member has pointed out the lack of a quorum.
Right.
I'm okay with that too. I'm just.
Which is how Congress passes things when nobody's there.
unfortunately, Bill, this has been being broadcast live on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, the lawyer's
correct.
talking.
Here's my real suggestion. Let me make the change about treasurer. Let's just recirculate it to the membership. And then we'll just call another Zoom, YouTube meeting at a later date, very soon. And for the purpose of approving that bylaw change.
Yeah, I think that's the prudent. Not that I have a voice. I'm sorry I keep talking, but I think that might be the prudent way to go.
Well, yeah,
I don't
but
want
you're
anybody to get in
the
trouble.
Grand Master, and you might say that dispensation ended at yet, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bill, the Word
Yeah,
document is on its
send-
way.
And send me the current one so I can sign off on them, that they are approved. Or can I just, yeah,
Yeah, if
Steve,
you
can
approve
we
those,
do that?
I'll start with that as the original set, the
Yeah.
most current bylaws, and then we can circulate those to the membership again and tell them there's a meeting to vote on it. And oh, by the way, here's your dues notice. It's underneath it.
Speaking of which, illustrious master.
Can I ask a question real quick, Companion Balky? I know that he is with his family, and I understand that. We do have that would be hanging out, as well as the election and installation, which I'm sure could be done super quickly. And I would be willing to allow for a brief recess if you wanted to attempt to make a phone call or some other thing that you might be able to do to reattain our quorum for a minimum amount of time.
You talking about Jonathan or Prince?
Yes.
Working, illustrious.
I could declare us at a brief well, I mean, we really are at recess already.
Illustrious, I've got another companion that I can reach out to see if he's available as well.
Okay.
Isn't O'Neill?
Well, I was thinking Chuck.
Yeah,
Especially
O'Neill and
considering-
McCallum both.
Yep,
O'Neill, is that Tip or some other O'Neill?
Charles.
It's Charles.
Yes. Tip, that's a
Golly.
good. Oh, hey, you wouldn't believe
Well,
it.
Tip O'Neill was from Massachusetts, wasn't
Yes, he was.
Are there going to be other things that you're going to want to take a vote on that you can continue to work on while you try to get the quorum?
All that's left is election and installation.
Okay, cool.
But you know what I was going to do was I was going to see if you all wanted to talk and say anything about the session. Our most puissant just, has mere hours left. So I was honestly going to tender the gavel, but I was going to do it at the end of the meeting. But I would certainly do it now if you all would not be upset at talking before the end of the meeting. If you all would like to talk about the triennium or what your plans are going forward, if any of you all would like to talk, I will most gladly tender the gavel.
It's going to be bad enough talking tomorrow.
So David, did
Yes, sir.
I join the Council of Preservation?
I thought you did. And I don't have access to the database right now. I'm not at a computer with it on it, so. But I thought you
'cause-
did.
Because that would be funny if I did and I just have completely forgotten about it.
You did not.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Well,
That was almost funny.
That would have been pathetically funny on my part.
question while we are on a break regarding the YouTube. I noticed that the 2 previous test streams that we did are still on that site. And of course, this meeting is going to be on that site. Is there going to be a plan to actually remove those, at least the test streams?
Steve and I haven't finalized the removal. We've kind of batted around. The thought as far as leaving them up was if someone wanted to watch it, there's some tips in there to prepare them for tomorrow. That was the big reason why they were left up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the purging of those had not been decided, but I think that will either be tonight or shortly thereafter. Correct,
Another
Steve?
question.
I don't think he heard me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Were you talking to me? My
Yes.
speaker went out for a minute. Go ahead.
We were talking about the purging of the test videos off of YouTube. So either
Yeah.
that can be either done tonight or shortly thereafter.
I would actually like to leave them up until the meeting starts, which means until the meeting ends tomorrow. Monty, we had a really good session and it's got a lot of helpful information that
Right.
James and John can point at and say, go watch this. It's got a
Yeah,
lot
but then
of-
they'll come back an hour and a half later.
Well, as long as they don't watch the entire end.
If you're going to tell them, you might want to know like the time stop for where you want them to have the information in the video. That way you can tell them where to go right away.
The other asset, Monty, that you might want to consider is it being ad hoc. There's a natural perspective on that video where yesterday when we were doing things purposefully yesterday. The day before was our first shot and
Right.
well,
I think that they both have great information leading up to the triennial. And personally, I think Sunday or later would be fine.
Okay.
But the other question that I have regarding it is currently that channel is basically open to anybody, right? Which is necessary for us to be able to allow everybody in. I'm questioning whether or not we want to have 2 channels. One ultimately that one will be a closed channel, and then one would be public. And when we do events or education or whatever, where we don't have an issue with non-cryptic Masons being involved in it, and including the general public, to be able to participate in that way. One of my biggest concerns are the comments that can be generated, and I don't think we're going to have the manpower to get rid of comments that are either inappropriate or conspiracy theories or whatever else. And can they share those videos?
I don't know the answer to the share. The only thing within the channel that I know that we can do is we can limit the distribution by using link only connectivity. In other words, it doesn't show up on the channel. As for a private channel, I think that is another possibility and it's already been set up. But I don't know how to work it. I don't know how to limit people's ability to get to it. But there has been a secondary channel set up in accordance with the original conversation.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
I'll be back.
He's coming his hair.
Yeah, I've had Companion McNeely reach out to a couple people, see if we get them on speakerphone, no avail. Companion Balky, any luck? Because if not, then I guess we're done with needing 5 minutes more of work. Oh, we may have somebody.
General Grand Master, do you have the power and authority to go ahead and run the election and install by proclamation?
Well, the only thing I could see is keeping the same officers in that we had. If they're willing to serve still. And that was Jack and Dick Epler, who Dick has gone.
He's
Right.
still on, but
He's
No, he's
still
still
on.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd re-accept.
And who was the deputy master, Steve?
Doesn't matter. Prince is getting back on.
Oh,
That's
great.
Who
Paul.
was the deputy master?
It's Paul, but it doesn't matter because Prince is getting back on. We can have elections, is what I'm saying.
And we
Well,
can vote
my
on that
question-
motion.
Okay?
Yeah, my question is, Jack is the illustrious master. Dick Epler was PCW. Who did we elect? Who?
I'm checking it out for making sure, but I'm fairly certain it was Paul.
Paul who? I know a lot of Pauls.
Well, are there more Pauls in this body? I'm looking for it.
Onion.
Onion.
That's a place to eat here in Coeur d'Alene. Paul Bunyan.
it wasn't Paul Cello, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was. It was Paul Cello.
Yes, it was.
I was gonna say, I thought it was Paul Cello,
Yeah.
and I had myself muted. I'm yelling, I'm stating Cello.
Actually, Dick Epler's deputy master and Paul is PCW.
Correct.
Oh,
And
heck,
Steve
had I
doesn't
known
get a
that, I
say in
could've-
his position.
Steve doesn't get a say in his position. It's automatic.
I'd be willing to hold over. It has been a
Okay.
long three. It has been a long 3 weeks, but
But it's been glorious.
we've done a lot in 3 weeks.
We have gotten a lot of places, yes. Okay.
What about Cliff Cameron?
So we have-
You know Cliff Cameron, Jack?
Cliff Cameron died.
Cliff Cameron is deceased
Hello.
Yep.
like 10 years ago.
Yeah, let me
Not
get
that
you
long.
It's
Oh, there
been a
you are.
while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
it
let you
was,
back in.
Okay,
There you go.
okay.
time I was down in Texas, he was still there.
Okay.
And that was, see, I was down there 2 years ago. Yeah, it's not been 10 years. It's only been like about 5, Jack.
Okay. Yep. Prince, welcome back. Appreciate you coming back on. We'll be quick. We actually have a motion and a second on the floor to amend the bylaws to break out the stations of recorder and treasurer, so that this way treasurer will be broken out, and the treasurer will be whomever the elected General Grand Council treasurer is. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, who will vote in favor of that motion will remain silent. And all opposed will vote by verbalizing the word nay. Motion carries. Companion recorder and Prince, Steve owes you whatever you tell him that you want to partake of for the next week.
And,
After the
Jack
elections.
will-
After the election.
Yeah,
After the election.
yeah, after the election, which brings us now to our elections. And so, General Grand Master, most puissant, sir, I will turn the elections over to you.
I will entertain a motion for the officers to remain in their stations.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm not
Prince.
hearing anybody. Any discussion? All those in favor remain silent. All those opposed verbalize the word nay. Illustrious Master Jack, you've been elected to maintain your position. Do you accept?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Most puissant companion Dick Epler, you have been elected to be the Deputy Master of George Sellers Preservation Council. Do you accept? I don't hear him.
Dick, check
Yeah.
to make sure your phone's not muted.
Yeah, it's showing muted.
I know it is.
Can you unmute him?
No,
Isn't silence agreement?
I was gonna say,
Yeah, that's actually what it is.
not to speak for my good friend Dick Epler, but
Dick.
his silence, I think, is his acceptance.
Okay.
He has
And then
run me
Paul
over.
Cello's not, and Paul Cello's not here, so. And since companions, you are being elected into stations, I will just declare you as being installed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And Prince, very appreciative of you coming back in and hopping on
Come
the
back
meeting
in.
really quick.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Is there any other business that needs to come before the council? Hearing none, thank you for all the good work that everyone has done tonight, and for our most puissant and right puissant companions. Very excited for everything y'all have done the last 3 years, and looking forward to tomorrow. I know it's going to be a great day. James McNeely, thank you for your assistance as well tomorrow. Companion Balky told me I needed to log on at 8:30. So I guess you're just going to have to be ready to go that early.
That's 8:30 Eastern.
So, look, he's speechless. I think
That was for him, James, not you.
Yeah. Yeah, I could force myself to be up at 8:30 Eastern, but can you force yourself to get up at 6 East Mountain?
My question isn't whether I can get up, it's whether I'm gonna sleep.
Yeah.
Well, in the interest of time, so you all can do what you need to do. Waiving any further ceremonies, I hereby declare.
Illustrious Master,
Yes.
would you like to set the next meeting date? And I would suggest that you make it 60 days-ish out, so that we have a little time for recovery, a little time for various projects to start on the off time, and a little time for preparation and notice.
Yeah, you know what? My preference would be to not set that meeting date tonight. Yeah, let's just let everyone get done what they need to get done, and then we'll all circle up and we'll set a date after everyone's had a break.
Okay?
Any other comments?
Closing prayer.
Okay, again, appreciate everybody. Excited for tomorrow. Waiving any other further ceremony at 8:30 p.m. Central. I hereby declare George C. Sellers International Preservation Council closed. Thank you all. You all get some
Mazel tov.
rest.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Manana.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks again, everybody. Bye.